Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and today I'm starting a new playthrough, and that's Crown of Emara. Most of my patrons voted to see a multiplayer version of this playthrough instead of the solo rules that also comes with the game. By the way, there is already a great playthrough by Ricky Royal out there, so everyone that, hey, if there is already a great playthrough, a solo playthrough, let's focus on multiplayer. So yeah, let's see how things go.
Okay, and here we are. This is the two-player setup. There's not too much of a difference to whatever 3 or 4-player setup. There are some of those counters which would be flipped to the other side, and especially for a 2-player game, we will also switch some of those counters here so that we have at least some starting prices or some starting demand here. But apart from that, it's really not that different. This is in theory our starting event, and it tells us how many building points we start the game with. That's 20. It's really not a lot. Not quite sure if you can see it, but it's printed here. And it also tells you where the starting player, in this case that's blue, starts on the countryside. This is here the lumberjack, and here we see the building side, the construction side in the city. Scoring is interesting in this game because you have citizen points. We all start at 0, and we have those building points. And again, according to our event card, we will start at 20 points. You basically score the points at the end of the game of both of the values, which is lower. So of course it's clear. So if we made our citizen points up here to 25, you look, this is the lower value, so we would end up with 20 victory points in total. So yes, you have basically 2-point systems that you have to take care of in this game in order to maximize your victory points at the end of the game. Each player has a small tableau here. There is a female and a male side. I believe this is supposed to be the male side. Looks like Legolas to me, but I will take it anyway. We have all the same set of 9 action cards, and we run through those cards twice, and we play 3 cards each round, which means after 6 rounds the game is already over. This can be relatively quick depending on how thinky you are, and this really is a tough nut to crack, to be honest. Really brainy game here. Which is the reason why I'm only doing this as a 2-player game. Usually I really try to do more than just 2 players, but in this one it's really tough. Because our counselor here at the countryside starts at the lumberjack, we start with 1 piece of wood. The same is true for the red player, whose counselor is at the quarry, and this means the red player starts with a stone. Final part of setup is to draw 3 cards from our action deck or action card deck, and those are the 3 cards that we can play in this round. There is an advanced variant where you take all the 9 cards to your hand and decide between the 9 of them, but this is really insanely thinky. It will really drag the game out. It's taking really long for you to think through all of the most ideal ways to do it. In this case, I really prefer the smaller selection here. Start of the round, so we have to pretty much discard this starting event card here, so it doesn't really go into effect. We simply discard it, and this is the event for this round. Respected at court, loved by the people. Oh, when we get a new title, we will score 2 extra points this round. Nice. So let's grab those cards, and it seems I started the game with a pretty straightforward card. So this is a card that gives me a stone, this gives me a grain, and this pretty much gives me another step on the countryside or in the city and take the appropriate action to that. Of course, it's not that simple, because I now have to assign one of those 3 cards to one of those 3 slots, which tells me how much I can move either of my 2 counselors here. So this could be the guy here, or the gal here, sorry, at the countryside, or is it a girl? I don't know. And the other counselor is here in the city. And again, I can choose which one of those to activate. So I think in this case, I want to play the card with the grain symbol to my 3 slots here. Now I can make a choice in which order to activate those actions. Now I can either take this card action first, or I could go for the movement action first, or I could also do one of those bonus actions. And again, I get to choose. I always have to finish one particular action, but again, the order in which I take those actions is totally free. In this case, I think it's pretty straightforward. Let's do the card action here first. So this gives me 1 piece of grain. I think I will not do a bonus action yet. I can still think about it, but I think not. Let's do the movement action next. And I will move my counselor here at the countryside. So this is 1, 2, 3 movements. I have to move him the full movement value. I cannot make him stop here. And this pretty much is also very straightforward. I simply grab one of those cloth tokens. If I would have now one of those craftsmen, I would gain an additional bonus. So for example, I could take another cloth, or I could trade in grain into bread, whatnot. Right now I don't have a craftsman, but I could pretty much set one here by either paying 2 wood, a wood and a grain, and a stone and a wood. Right now, in theory, I could do this, but I think I have other plans right now for the resources I got, so I think I will not place one of my craftsmen here yet, which is also the end of my turn. And then it's red, and I think red wants to play this card here. So she can move one of her counselors, or she has to move one of her counselors 1 space. And this card allows you to either gain 1 craftsman for 1 resource cheaper than you would normally have to pay, or you could get one of those advisors also basically cheap. But you still have to have your counselor next to the guy. I think first of all, let's move. So red has to move 1 space here. I think she will really move here to this, I don't know what it is, baker or farmer, whatever it is. She grabs 1 grain because this is what the action gives you. And now I think red wants to hire a craftsman. As she has a stone, I think she wants to get for this craftsman here. Because of her card, keep that in mind, she only has to pay 1 of those, which is really good. So she will pay 1 stone. She will save the wood here. The stone goes right back. This means she gets her leftmost craftsman. This basically opened up this slot here, which gives her her first citizen point. Hooray! Of course, let's not forget to place the craftsman here. No one else can now build a craftsman onto this house here, but red could still place a craftsman here or here, or the same is true for blue. So you can really have more than just 1 craftsman in 1 site here, or one of those resource sites in the countryside area. There are bonus points for titles, but I think blue has a different plan. He really wants to get one of those advisors. There's a really powerful up there. So yes, I think let's stick to the plan for now. Yeah, let's play this card here to this space. This gives him a stone. We can take the stone right away. Doesn't really make a big of a difference. Now we will move one of his counselors 2 spaces, and I believe you want to go here 1 and 2. We go to the marketplace. We can give away 1 resource for 1 gold. Gold is a wild card, and we need gold to acquire some of those titles up here. The first one, the Baron, you only need 1 of those rings, but for the Count, the next title already, you need a ring and a coin, and coins are always a wild card, so that's definitely never a bad thing. So he will give away the stone here. This goes back to the quarry, and therefore blue gets 1 coin. And now he will go for a bonus action because he really wants to get the scholar here. And you always can get those advisor when one of your counselors is in the basically district of that city, which is the reason why I moved the blue player here to the marketplace. So we pay wood, we pay 1 grain, and we pay 1 cloth. They go back to their respective things. We grab the scholar. This gives us an immediate bonus, which is 1, 2, 3 citizen points. But what's more important is that now he has this ongoing effect here of the scholar. Of course, he will grab the scholar in a second, put him next to his player board. But this allows him now to either place those craftsmen or hire those advisors for pretty much any resources. He only needs to follow the amount of resources that acquire, but no longer the type. So in this case, he could go for 3 times wood, and this is really, really huge. So yeah, let's totally grab the scholar. We will place a new card from the B deck here. Sir Antony here, which is usually something that provides you some victory or building points in this case. by the end of the game or when you acquire him. Basically really important card, but you need 5 resources for that. It's definitely something. And from these A cards here, there is a whole pile of additional cards which we haven't seen. So you really shuffle them and you will never see the same amount of or the same cards in any given round. Then it's red again, and I think red wants to play this card here. So this gives her one of those rings. I think she will use it relatively quickly, but let's do her movement action first. That's 1, 2, and 3. She will grab a stone. And I think for her bonus action, she wants to acquire her first title. And that's the Baron up there. And you always have to start here from left to right, apparently. So you cannot jump directly to the Duke, for example. So she will pay her ring. She will grab the topmost card. All of those barons have the same victory points. In the later titles like the Count, I think the value goes down somewhat. But in this case, red acquired the title. And this is so nicely done. You will slide it here and you see the crown. Really nice. But of course, let's not forget to give her 3 points plus 2 because of this event card. That's 5 more civil points, or citizen points in this case. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. She's now at 6. But both of the players have to be careful because they also need to get building points, because 20 is really not a lot. In the rules suggest you when you first play the game, you start with 35 of those building points. So we are now down to 20, and there are event cards that make you start at 30 or something. The 20 is really, really low. Then it's already the last action for the blue player, and he has to play it like this. So he pretty much gets 2 times the movement action. Of course, he can always choose the order. And I think let's keep it simple. That's the first movement action. So blue will grab a piece of wood. He will not place a craftsman here, I believe. And then he will take his second action, move him down. He will grab a stone. I think he will not be able to send a craftsman here either. He has a wood and a stone. No, this doesn't really help. Of course, he could always pay his coin, but yeah, I think he really wants to hold on to his coins because of the titles. They can really give you a lot of points later on. So I think in this case, no, that's okay for blue. Let's move over to red. She will play her last card. Therefore, she will grab 1 grain, and then she has to move 2 spaces. And with the 2 movement points, she will move 1, 2 spaces here into the church. Now she can donate to the church, and the church will take wood, stone, grain, or cloth. And these are basically the numbers that you have to pay in order to fulfill 1 donation. In this case, yeah, let's totally go for the stone. Still cheap. Afterwards we will flip it, so the next time you want to donate stone to the church, you have to pay 2 of those. And again, this is something that you do because of the 2-player game. And when you do donate, you get 1 book. That's clear. You can trade in those books later on in the construction site, for example, in order to gain in the marketplace here, in order to get some more citizen points, or at the castle here for building points. But for now, let's take the book. And additionally, she's allowed to grab 3 of those favor tokens here and pick 1 of those, and I will do that off camera. And here she chose this one. So the next time they either moves to the king or takes an action at the king, she can trade this in for 3 victory points. You cannot use it right away, so she couldn't have gone for a church tile here, for example, and trigger it. Really, it's the next time you do something at the castle. That's already the end of the first round. We will move the starting player to the next player. We will discard all of our cards to a discard pile. Each player will draw 3 new cards. And then, yeah, we will move into round 2. Let's not forget to reveal the next event card. And here we have Merchants from Afar. This round, when we do a marketplace action, we can basically trade in 2 resources for 2 pieces of gold. Wow, that's really huge. And really a pity for the blue player here, because he's already at the marketplace and it's really difficult to get there because he already played his move on space card this first round. Wow. Red will start this round, and I think she wants to play this card here. And by the way, guys, I'm not thinking this through to the bitter end. I'm really doing one action in advance because otherwise my head will really explode. So definitely expect me to do some suboptimal moves here. But in this case, I think it really makes sense short term. Let's go for her first normal movement action here. So she will move her counselor 1-2 spaces here to the castle. Now she will trigger this favor token here, which immediately gives her 3 more citizen points. And then she will give the king 1 gift here. By the way, you can trade those favor tokens in no matter what, if you want to take it action here or not. It's definitely up to you. And I think in this case, let's give 1 piece of grain to the king. Again, we will slide it over. The next time you want to do stuff here, you have to already give him 2 pieces of grain. So yeah, he's really not an easy man to satisfy. In this case, she will now get 1 of those rings again, which is really great. And on top of this, again, she can now give away 1 of her books, which she will totally do in order to score her 5 first building points. Nice. Of course, let's not forget, she still has her card action, which gives her an additional movement. And I think in this case, she wants to move the grain field, so she gets 1 grain right off the bat. And now because she has a craftsman here, she can now either take another grain or she can trade in 1 grain for 1 bread. But I think originally I really was thinking of giving her a bread, but I think in this case, she will get an additional grain because otherwise she's a little bit shy of resources for an action later on. I think this was pretty good for red. That's the end of her action. Then it's blue. He will play this card, therefore he will grab 1 cloth and he will move his counselor to the church. He will spend 1 cloth in order to donate to the church, therefore he will get 1 book as well, and he will also grab 3 of those favor tokens, and those are pretty cool ones. So he gets building points if he goes to the marketplace, or if he takes an action at the marketplace, at the king, or at the church. I think he really wants to do stuff at the marketplace, so I think he will grab this favor tile. Those 2 get discarded. Over to red, she will play this card because she really wants to go to the marketplace. This gives her 1 piece of wood. So let's move her here. Again, keep in mind, because we have those merchants from afar now in place, we can trade in 2 resources. And I think this is what she wants to do for sure. So she will give away 2 of her grain in order to grab 2 coins, which is really, really insane, guys. By the way, there is also an additional action here. You can pretty much give away books for citizen points, and this depends on the amount of books you're trading in. So if you're giving 5 of those books at this action, you score 21 citizen points. Never was able to get close to that, but yeah, just to let you know. Because she has a ring now, and because she has a gold coin, I think she wants to get a next title, which is the count, and now you see it here. She will score 6 points. The blue player, if he goes here, will only make 5 points there. So let's remove this title. So she's now count or countess in this case, which gives her an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 citizen points. Nice. Over to blue, he wants to visit the king, so he will play this card, therefore he will grab 1 piece of wood. He will move 1-2 spaces here. He will give away 1 wood he just gained, so this got more expensive now in order to satisfy the king, therefore he will also grab a ring, and he will also trade in his book here for an additional 5 building points. So he's also at 25 of those. And I guess then it's also time for him to claim his first title. So he will be the Baron now, which will give him 1, 2, 3 citizen points. Last card for red, which is this one here. This gives her a stone and 3 movement points. So she will move 1, 2, 3 spaces here. This gives her another stone, and now she's thinking of placing a second craftsman here, maybe onto this head. Yeah, why not? So she will pay 1 grain and 1 wood. On the other hand, should she do that? Yeah, why not? Let's do that. So she will pay those. She will grab her leftmost craftsman. This is another 2 citizen points. He's really in the lead now. And of course, let's not forget to place the craftsman here accordingly. This is the end for red, at least in this round. Over to blue, he will play this card, which allows him to take any one city action, no matter where his counselor is, which is really powerful. But let's first of all have him move 1, 2, 3 spaces here. Therefore, he will grab 1 piece of wood. And I think for his card, he will trigger the marketplace action, of course, because this gives him 2 pieces of gold. Again, this is a wild card. And because he triggered the marketplace, he will also cash in his favor token here, which gives him an additional 5 building points. Nice. And I think that's it. In theory, he could still grab one of those advisors here, but then he would have to give away a lot of his coins, and I think he wants to hold on to those for now because they will also give you some points at the end of the game, for example. But again, you really want to have them for those titles. And I think that's it. Let's call it an end for this second round. Blue will be the starting player. We will remove the cards, so we will go into the last round of our first action deck here. Afterwards, we will then shuffle those cards again and do the same thing again 3 times. But yeah, let's just do that. Again, let's not forget the next event. Fine wool, fine cloth. Start of round, each of the players gets 1 piece of cloth. Awesome. I think that's never a bad thing, but there will be no end of round event or anything that happens throughout the round. You simply get a nice little bonus. Okay, blue will start with a 1 here. This gives him 1 ring. He will cash in this ring in a second in order to get his next title, I guess. But let's do the movement action first. This will also be quick. He will move in here. He will grab a stone. Then he will cash in his coin and his ring in order to grab the next title, which is count, and gives him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, catching up a little bit at least. Then it's red. I think she wants to play this card. This gives her 1 piece of cloth and 1 movement, and I guess she will move in here. So this gives her 1 piece of grain. Now she can take an additional grain, or she can trade in a grain to get a bread. And I think in this case she wants to trade in the grain in order to grab 1 bread for now. And I think that's it for her. Okay, then it's blue again, and I think he wants to play this card here. Again, this gives him a discount when hiring a craftsman, or when placing a craftsman, or when hiring an advisor. So let's move 1, 2 spaces here. This gives him 1 cloth. And I think he does want to send a craftsman here. And because of his scholar, he can basically pay any 1 resource. And I think he also gets a discount, by the way. Yeah, he will pay 1 cloth in order to grab this craftsman. And I guess he wants to place this guy here. This gives him an additional citizen point. Then it's red. She will play this card here. Again, this gives her the opportunity to take any 1 city action, no matter where her counselor is. Let's move her counselor in the countryside first. 1, 2, and 3. This gives her 1 stone. She has a craftsman here, so she will get an additional stone because she's unfortunately out of grain. And then she gets to take her card action, and I think she wants to activate the construction site here. So she will now spend 1 bread. You can do that 1 to 3 times. For each bread you spend, you get the victory points that are printed here. So that's 5 citizen points. She will also give away 1 stone for this action. That's 5 building points plus 4 more of those. And in theory, she could also pay 1 wood in order to get more building points, but I think she's out of wood. Really not thinking straight here, but I think that's overall not too bad. That's 9 citizen points here, and in total 5 construction points. We will still move those guys around, so which means the next time you go here you don't get as many victory points or citizen points, but overall she's not complaining. So that's 5 points here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 more citizen points, coming really close to your hut. And I think this is what you want to do in the end. You want to keep them nearby. Last action for blue. He will play this card. This allows him to basically cash in 1 resource for 1 gold or 3 resources for 2 gold, which is really powerful. Let's do the movement first. 1, 2, and 3. Therefore, he will get 1 grain. I will think about if I want to place a craftsman or not. First of all, I want to give away, doesn't really matter. Let's give away this wood here. Therefore, he will get 1 more coin. And I think he will go for another advisor. That's either the bailiff or the archivist here. They're both great. He doesn't really care about those resources because of his scholar he can pay all any resources here. This gives him 2 books and 2 points immediately, or 5 points, and he can trade in rings for building points. But those books could be 6 points in total, and he could also use them later on for more construction points, and you don't get those rings too often, to be honest. No, let's go for the archivist here. So he will pay his 3 resources, therefore he will score 2 more points, and this will also give him 2 more books, which he can trade in later on in the game for building or citizen points as well. Let's place the new advisor, that's Sir Christian, for 10 citizen points for those 4 resources. Last action for red 2, she will play this card here. This, I think, let's have her, I don't know, let's have her spend 1 stone for 1 coin. I think she only wants 1 additional coin at this point in time. She gets 2 more movement, so let's do that 1 more time here. So she will spend 1 stone. Unfortunately, doesn't have any bread and no wood, but I think she will take it anyway. That's 1 stone for 5 building points and 3 citizen points. So let's move those over. So here are 5 building points and 1, 2, and 3 citizen points. And that's pretty much the end of the first 3 rounds. We have played through all of our 9 action cards each. So now we grab all those cards, we give them another shuffle, and then we will pretty much do the same thing again 3 more times, and then that's the end of the game. But I think I will call it for today. I really hope you enjoyed the first episode of my playthrough of Crown of Emara here again. If you want to see the solo experience, check out Ricky Royal's channel. He really did a fantastic job, as usual, with his solo playthrough. And yeah, hope to see you soon in one of my other videos, maybe the second and probably last episode of Crown of Emara. And yeah, until then, bye bye.